This one's on the list of like mythical creatures in the wild kind of thing. Like you've heard of it, but you've never seen it. At least I've never seen it. I've never seen this in all my years of pugging, but now I have footage of it and it is glorious.
Can't be happening. If Murazon exists, that means Nosdormu. No. No! We can fix this. We have to get back to the time ways. I don't have a target.
I have many wares.
This is up there, guys. If you haven't ever seen this, there's an amazing video, like a diamond in the rough video in my playlist for the stream. We have a full group of 5 players, like an actual ordinary progression key group, and somebody leaves as the guy is doing the countdown. The guy walks out of the dungeon, leaves the party, the countdown's still going, and the group leader does not realize he left, so he puts the key in with 4 people. That is, like, to me, like the actual worst disband reason ever. Like, as bad as it gets. Like, you just disbanded because you're not paying attention, that you don't have a viable comp. This might be worse. I guess the difference here is this is on an 8, which is obviously more expected. This cracks me up, honestly. It's such a unique thing. I feel like you can go years of pugging and you'll never see this. Somebody invited 5 people and none of them are a tank. Now, this is actually the same guy who sent me the Rise, the same thing where they just didn't have the key in the key and they were doing the dungeon thing. Like, they were just starting without the key in there. This is actually the same guy, so he's a hit machine. He sent me this email alongside with it. He says, we were in queue for 10 minutes and then we got a Havoc Demon Hunter and a Prop Pally sign up at the same time. So the group leader probably thought he saw the Demon Hunter with the tank icon and then invited him. That's really the only way it could happen, I guess. But like, this is what's so fascinating to me about these low keys is that like 5 people managed to just not notice. Like, they do 3 full combats without a tank and nobody really says, like, nobody's got any concern whatsoever. I especially love the fact that the guy's up there like tanking as a holy pally. This is interesting. Like, I would love to see a group go without a tank. We talk about this all the time. I always say like the tank is the literal most important role because you can do a key without a healer or a DPS, but you cannot do a key without a tank. I think that's still true, but I would be very interested in seeing where you could blur that line. Like, they literally can do this dungeon without a tank from what I've seen, like, at least. Like, they can kill every single single mob in here without a tank. There's like missed interrupts and people not like realizing that they actually have threat. But if you basically have 5 players who expect to have threat at some point and deal with that fact, then yeah, why can't you kill all this? I have no, it's an 8, right? Like what's the actual stopping point here? I expect the stopping point will be bosses. Usually on trash, it's one thing because you can like CC or divert the mobs all around. But on a boss, like he has to auto attack somebody. You can't kite a boss. You can't stop him from doing his tank mechanics. So probably the first boss would just make that impossible. But I'd be very interested in seeing it. It almost plays like an old school classic dungeon, not like 2019 nonsense where they didn't have tanks anyway, but like the old school where like the tank is struggling to maintain threat. Everybody has to kind of be ready for that fact, and you can still maximize your DPS knowing that you will be potentially pulling threat here and there. Now, the funny thing is he sent me another email just last night. He did not include a link to this though, so I assume that was probably just a typographical error, so I don't have footage of it, but he said something maybe even funnier. He said, we actually now started the key with 2 tanks, and again, nobody noticed until after the first pull. They had a Death Knight tank who was supposed to be DPS, and I guess like he expected to be DPS and not in DPS spec or something like that. So he runs out and switches to DPS and comes back in, and the guy's saying that he like barely did more damage than he did his blood. That would be another thing. Like I'd love to see like actual content done with a tank just trying to do DPS. We used to do like 5 tank runs all the time, and it was kind of fun back in the day, especially when there was corruption mechanic and BFA. Like it was actually pretty cool, but for the most part, like the second tank is basically just a really bad DPS because like whoever has threat is the one tanking, and then the one who doesn't have threat is either just like trying to fight for threat or just like doing mediocre DPS. So I don't know, this stuff's wild out there, man. Let me know what you guys think about this. Have you ever seen something like this? Have you ever seen a non-viable composition start a Mythic Plus dungeon? I think the truly crazy thing that I said be in the beginning as well, it's like, how does nobody talk about this? How does nobody comment? Like who put the key in? You know what I mean? Like how do you not see that there is no tank? I think it requires people that just straight up not have raid frames, not even like hover over the name of the person. Like there's so much information out there and people miss it. I think it's hard to understand it from that basic level because us players who are trying to elevate our gameplay, we have so many tools in front of us, so much information on the screen that when you see players do something like this, you're wondering how they possibly could miss it. But the reality is they probably have no information on their screen, like, or perhaps they have it and they're just somehow missing it. They're just not seeing it. This was a big topic for when Cop was tanking. Clarity of UI, getting the right information in front of you at all times is the key to not having, well, I mean, obviously this case, yeah, there's a couple problems, but hopefully he's going to be back to tanking too at some point. I'm looking forward to getting back to doing some coaching of him. If you guys aren't aware, that Cop and I used to do a coaching series back in BFA where he was brand new to tank, like to the point where he had been seriously apprehensive of even trying it. There's a whole backstory there. You guys should check that playlist out. I still think that's some of the best YouTube content I've produced just because it feels really gratifying to see him go from completely like anxiety ridden to actually succeeding. Wild stuff in these low keys. Make sure you record them, send them to me. We'll be back for another week here, and then we got Christmas. So thank you for watching, guys. Have a great holiday. Enjoy the coming week. Spend time with your family, man. And if not, we'll see you guys on the stream. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.